everybody. I know you guys aren't that familiar with Jack, so I'm going to read his bio, not. I'd just like to invite Jack to the stage. He needs no introduction. Can you give him a thunderous round of applause, please? Welcome to my parlor, Jack. We're going to be talking about the future of Bitcoin. Obviously, this is not your first time at ABC. You were in Ghana in 2022, and I remember, actually I don't remember, I watched the video again. But you talked about how you got into Bitcoin, the importance of decentralization, you talked about single points of failure, and just generally about the role that you saw in terms of providing accessibility to people who don't have access currently to the global financial systems. So my first question for you, Jack, is 2 years on, how has that context changed, this world of a decentralized internet? 2 years on, what is different?
Well, first I just want to express some gratitude to Farida and the team. This is incredible. When I was in Ghana 2 years ago, it felt very small but very promising. And today it's just unrecognizable in the best way. And while there's a lot of focus on this stage and attention on this stage, you all know and you all feel that the real magic happens out there. It happens in the hallways, it happens at lunch, it happens at dinner. It happens in like randomly bouncing into people that you don't know and asking them questions and where they're from and what they're doing. I always take on this mindset of every single experience I have, every single person I meet, every mistake I make, every success I feel I have is a teacher, and I get to decide whether or not to learn from it. And if I don't choose to learn from it, it's a missed opportunity. So while we do have a lot of attention on people speaking on the stage and our presentations, which have been amazing, the real value is what you make out of this conference, and it's not just about the production here, it's about what you bring to it, and most importantly, what you take away from it. So gratitude to all you for making this feel great. The energy has been amazing, and I hope we can continue it every single year, and we go different places, maybe Nigeria as well. I think over the past 2 years, things have only gotten better. We've only seen more technology and more tools. And I know we're at a Bitcoin conference, but it's not really about Bitcoin. It's about permissionless tools. It's about the fact that anyone can learn how to contribute in whatever way that is relevant or is their skill set. And they can, without asking anyone for permission, build something. They can build code, they can build a product, they can build a company, they can build education to make it relatable and resonant with their community or with their friends or with their family. Every single skill has some quality and has something to give of real impact. So even if you're not a programmer, or you're not a designer, or you don't manage products, or you know nothing about technology, there's something here that you can take away and you can actually make real for someone else. It may be yourself. It's best to solve your own problems. It's best to be a little bit selfish here, because if you're solving a problem for yourself, it's likely that other people have that problem too. And when you demonstrate solving that problem in a creative way that feels great and feels a little bit electric, other people see it and they want to use your solution and your product as well. So over the past 2 years, like we've only seen an increase in these tools, and Bitcoin is just one of them. There's a lot of attention on this number that goes up. Sometimes it goes down, but it goes up over years and years and years. And there's a lot of fixation on that number. And you can get lost in that number. You can get lost in the value that's being created for the people that own it. But all that number is a statement, a very tangible statement of, I believe in the future of this thing. And more people keep believing in the future of this thing. And again, that adds to the the ability for people to sacrifice their time to build on this and know that it will probably reach someone who needs it. And that's pretty amazing. But in permissionless technologies, the one I've been most excited about recently is not Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is phenomenal, obviously, and it's a base layer. But media is a big one that has not been solved. We've been constantly talking about how people should be tweeting and how people should be putting stuff on Instagram and YouTube. If you really think about, and I built one of those services, if you really think about what you're doing when you're posting that, it's not just reaching your audience. You're actually you're actually doing work for that company for free. Every time you hit the heart, every time you like a post, every time you retweet something, that's a signal to an algorithm, which then takes that and a bunch of other variables and uses that as a way to push into someone else's feed. And all of these algorithms predominantly are only focused on increasing the number of impressions. And the reason why is because that increases the number of advertising revenue for them. It has nothing to do with you. And if you just sorry, if you just observe a little bit and you watch someone on their phone, and there's a bunch of you on the phone in the downtime, and you have Instagram open, you have Twitter open, X, Threads, Blue Sky, maybe not Blue Sky, but whatever it is, you actually just watch them and they're scrolling, tap, tap, scrolling, tap, tap, scrolling, tap, tap. That company has successfully made you an employee without paying you a thing. And we need, if we value what we believe is the value of these services, which is to broadcast to the world and to broadcast our information, our lessons, our learnings, our stories to someone that's going to care about it, we need to own that protocol layer. That protocol layer needs to be permissionless. I should not have to ask Google on whether to build a feature or not. I should not be reliant upon Google's algorithm to tell me what I should pay attention to, because they're programming you. And they can change that algorithm at any point and program you in a different way. And they have in the past, and they will continue to do so. So do you want to live in that world? Do you want to continue to give it your attention? Do you want to continue to work for free? Or do you want to own something where you can build on top of it, and you can control the media, you can control your story, you can control your narrative, along with all the other people that are interested in unleashing themselves from this dynamic that we've created and that we've been trapped into. So I can't think of anything more exciting than the fact that we have money that's completely permissionless, exchange of value, and we have now social media and generally media, which is completely permissionless, which is another exchange of value. And there's another big thing coming. It's on the horizon. We're hearing a lot about it right now, which is artificial intelligence. And you're seeing that it's not just the money that was centralized, it's not just the media that has been centralized, but now intelligence is centralized. And intelligence isn't your IQ score. Intelligence is actually all of the collective intelligence of the people around you, all the potential you have for learning and actually experimenting and sharing that knowledge. Do you want that intelligence to be locked up in 5 companies that are dictated by 5 CEOs that are not voted in, but that can determine, again, how you perceive intelligence, how you perceive the world, and actually what you do because you read those particular things? So decentralizing and making permissionless AI models, LLMs, agent systems, is something that we need to focus on. Everything that we're doing with Bitcoin, everything that we're doing with social media has to be applied to this new model, which is intelligence. And if it's not, then again, you are the product. You are doing free work for these models, and you will be displaced. Your contribution will become irrelevant. And that scares me the most. Yet, we have proven over the past 16 years with Bitcoin that another model exists. The whole world values, some of the biggest companies in the world, Wall Street, BlackRock, actually values. And they didn't choose to get in immediately. They got in because they had to, because the people kept developing it, and this thing is not going away, and it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And we have the potential, everyone in this room, if you make the decision, I'm not going to contribute purely to corporate media or corporate intelligence or corporate money anymore. I'm going to do the hard thing, and it's extremely challenging right now because it's not accessible, it's not usable, it's confusing as hell. But I'm gonna do the work, I'm gonna learn it, I'm gonna teach it, and I'm gonna sacrifice my time and energy to do something that's hard at the moment, because if I do so, it compounds and more people can use it, and it becomes more the standard. So it's really important that we make that decision and that we potentially remove these apps from our lives, or we at least bias towards other solutions that the people actually own, that no one company, no one government can corrupt or change the direction of, and that we can, just because we built something that people value and people go that direction, and another someone builds something of different value and people can find it there. So that's the important thing about all these technologies. Sorry my answer was so long, but I had to get all that out. It's exciting. Like, it just keeps getting better and better and better and stronger and stronger and stronger. And it's because of all the people in this room that decided to come all the way here, show up, listen, speak, teach, learn, and most importantly, leave this conference with all this knowledge and with all this energy and with this vibe, and spread it. And not as a religion, but spread it as a tool that you can use today. And it makes your life better in just a tiny little bit, and that continues to compound in something much, much larger.
Thank you, Jack. To the point about it not being a religion, one thing I like to do is test the spirits. And I've been thinking a lot about, in the last 2 years that we're reflecting on, it is exciting, but is there a risk? So we talk about permissionless, we talk about decentralization, we talk about proof of work. Now, in the last 2 years, we've seen lots of companies acquiring and holding on to Bitcoin. We've seen that most of the Bitcoin has been mined. We've seen a lot of global north countries talking about strategic Bitcoin reserves. Is there any risk, even if not in principle, in practice, that we have a situation where Bitcoin is no longer truly decentralized because certain companies, certain individuals, certain countries have outsized influence over the ecosystem?
No, 100%. Like, Bitcoin has been tested over 16 years, and every one of those risks has been around aspects of it becoming centralized. And fortunately, it survived all those tests. We need an open protocol for money transmission. We require it for our future. And Bitcoin has been the most resilient to those attributes, and to make sure that, like, we have something that has that potential. But it will always be tested. We got into mining at Block because we saw that there was a risk in centralization of mining, and specifically one manufacturer who was making these chips that were not open source, that were not customizable, that were terrible in many ways, because you just kind of burn them out and just waste a bunch of resources. So we wanted to build something that competed with that, but also build it in the open and build it with open source principles, because we think we will benefit from that as well, because there's a bunch of people outside of our company that have much better ideas than us and can actually contribute, and all the boats rise because of that. Pooling, mining pooling is another centralizing force. There's a bunch of solutions around this, including Stratum V2. Ocean is a company that's doing that. I see the miners in the front nodding their heads. So every year there's a new centralization risk, and every year there's a bunch of people who look at that risk, face it head on, and decide that they're going to fix it. They're going to fix it because it benefits Bitcoin, and it keeps Bitcoin decentralized. So every government is going to try to own this thing, and they have tried in the past, and they have failed. And their attacks are going to get greater and greater. And we're going to have even more interesting adversarial attacks against Bitcoin. But I believe in the power and the wisdom of the people. And I believe when that wisdom is applied to technologies and a platform and a protocol that you can build on without permission, that it will solve itself. It may take longer than a company, because a company has a focused roadmap and they're telling people what to do, and they have this incentive of equity or cash, and they can be super, super focused. But Bitcoin is a little bit slower moving, but that also makes it very, very deliberate, very deliberate. And that deliberateness is something we want in our currency. This is how we exchange value. It's what we want in our media so that we trust it. It's what we want in our intelligence so that we understand what we're doing and why. I was looking at our watch, it was telling you to stand. All of these technologies are going to encourage us to do more and more of these things, and we're just going to blindly follow them. And we're not going to question why they're telling us to do these things unless we can participate in the building of that, and we can participate in the outcome, and we have the agency to choose which algorithms we use and which technologies we use and whether we follow its instruction or not. Because if we're blindly following anything, we're not going to be creative. We lose all innovation because creativity is saying no to something. It's going a different path. It's doing something a little bit more unique that some people will laugh at you for, or people will see you as an outcast. But over time, it's going to be meaningful. And that's what makes me not be concerned with these governments and these corporations who are trying to own this, because the people are smarter. And we have the tool to coordinate that intelligence and that wisdom and constantly be 10 steps ahead of any adversarial attacks on our money.
Thank you for that. We've got maybe 5 more minutes. I'll try and sneak in 2 questions. I want to turn to utility. Now, you talked about permissionless technologies and the opportunity to build on those technologies. What sorts of utility use cases are you seeing at the moment that excite you, that people are building on these?
Oh, everything on the stage today and yesterday. I mean, it's we haven't talked a lot about Noster, but Noster is interesting because it's not just something that tries to replace social media. It's building this ecosystem of apps such that you can create a private key and you can create a public key and you can give out that public key and anyone can follow you. But with your private key, your secret key, you can actually log in to a Twitter-like thing, and your entire social graph follows you, all your identity. And then you can take that to a GitHub-like thing to work on code, and you can take that to a Google Sheets spreadsheet-like thing and work on your documents and your accounting. And it's all the same identity, and you own the data, not a company. They can't ever shut it down. They can't ever change it. You own it. You get to choose what's up and what's down. And you also get to choose how you filter that. You get to choose what algorithm you use to get the information from the network and to get the information from these apps. So we're at the very, very beginning of this. And again, like Bitcoin, it has a very interesting developer community because there's no one single lead and because there's no specific equity or a salary. People are working on what they're passionate about. So as a whole, it tends to look like it moves a lot slower, but it allows for a lot more creativity. And it's about just over 2 years old now. And it's moving a lot faster than I thought, a lot faster than Twitter did in its early days in terms of developer interest and application. And I think the interesting thing about the utility is, like, who knows? People get to make whatever they want. And if it resonates with other people, then it grows. And if it doesn't, they can take that as a lesson to build something that does resonate with more people. But again, at the end of the day, they're not asking permission from anyone but themselves. And that's really key and really important. And by seeing Bitcoin as a success, by seeing Noster as something that will be successful, by seeing these open source paths for artificial intelligence as success, we get more and more confidence to focus the permission asking on ourselves rather than our governments or our corporations. Like the corporations are taking the majority of the impact in the steering. I worry less about the governments, more about the companies.
Okay. When you look into your crystal ball, Jack, 2 years' time, what do you think will be the situation in the ecosystem of permissionless technologies?
I don't have a crystal ball, and I also would advise you not to listen to anyone who speaks about the future because nobody knows anything.
So has our whole panel been a lie, Jack?
No. These are all aspirations, right? And this is what we want to build, and this is what we want to see in the world. But it's a function of how well we do it.
Yeah.
And we get to choose what we build and what we make up, and if people enjoy it, then it's the future. And if people don't, then hopefully we take it as a lesson and we use that to build something else that people do value. I really like the Bitcoin mantra of don't trust, verify. I think it speaks to the permissionless nature of the culture and in the technology. It speaks to skepticism. It speaks to self-reliance and self-regulation. It speaks to doing the work. And again, like, I feel great about being at conferences like this because I get to see people and I get to feel the energy around something that can be very abstract and in our heads and on our fingertips. But when you feel this energy, it feels amazing. But we can get easily trapped in talking about the things instead of doing the things. And it's related to another mantra of show, don't tell. And the best way to spread an idea is to actually build it, to show it off in such a way that people can feel it and they can experience it. And they feel it so much, it feels electric that they just can't, they can't stop shaking. They want to like spread it or they want to contribute to it. And while this is time to like build those connections, the real work is that building of these networks. It's, you know, being in the quiet spaces on your keyboard. It's being in a small team and writing the ideas down and critiquing them and throwing them away and starting over and being more and more creative. I think we have a lot of conferences where there's way too much talk on the stage, not in the audience, but on the stage, and there's very, very little doing. And we tend to get back into these, like, as Femi said this morning, like, Bitcoin fixes everything. It's not going to fix it by itself. It's not going to fix it by itself. We fix everything with Bitcoin. We fix everything with open protocols. We fix everything with these permissionless technologies. But it's a decision and it's work. And it is not convenient and it's not always fun and it's a burden. But it's a choice. What future do you want to live in? What future do you want your kids to live in? And do they own it? Do you not own it? Or are they locked up in these corporations and as proxies for the government that, you know, can pretty much do anything with your life at this point?
Thank you for that, Jack. We have run out of time. Thank you very much for agreeing to come back to ABC. I'm leaving with the thought that if the future of Bitcoin will be bright, then we must be more than thinkers and talkers. We must also be doers. So thank you very much, Jack, and back over to you.
Thank you all.